So welcome back to Nightingale's Motorcycle Restorers and Metal Finishers. Bit different this one for you. RTL 250Ss. There is two of them. We're going to class it as Restoration Part 1. So before we get into this, there's two different RTLs before I get into where they've come from. One's a disc brake model, one's a hub model, one's a Rothmans. I think what I'll go over first is you may want to watch if this video goes on any further, because what we do when we look at each individual bikes coming to us, we do a free assessment. The customer then either decides if they're going to go back away, back home, or not going to bother with. They might not have been running, they might have had problems. But we do an initial assessment in restoration side and then off we go. So if this is going to flow, this will be part 1, and I'm trying to include it as if you're restoring at home, but it's what I do in the workshop in this fully equipped state-of-the-art workshop with what we've got in this building. Okay, so we've got several types of customers in restoration. Obviously restoring parts every day of the week for different machines. 6s, 4s, triple 2-strokes, all 70s, 80s, usually classic machines, some British stuff as well, parts in. So what you do is you've got to look at the different type of customer, because what the majority of people who come in here, who come in or courier a bike in, is somebody who usually near on rides a bike in. If let's just say an LC 350, 400 YAM, 250 YAM, early coffin, tank machines, are behind us. One's just come in behind us, a GT 250 to look at on Monday. So they ride it in, it's got the usual frame looking a bit sad, faded. Had a YDS7 in the other day and it faded, the nice candy one, but it looked good, you know, nice patina, bit of rust, bit on the fork legs, bit greasy looking, casing's faded, fins a bit dull, and you can see remnants of electrical bullet connectors. And they asked the question is, I'd like to strip it down, bring it into you in bits, and what you're going to charge me, and give them a rough idea. So they've let me see the bike. Otherwise it comes in on photographs, which I ask you, if you're not from round here, to send it in on photographs and we can kind of have a quick look at it. And be doing this when they come in, so it rattles. They use it for work in summer or occasional Sundays. And sometimes you look at them and you think, well, I can see exhaust, I can see frame are broken or been patched up over the years. It's days of may have had rear sets on it or dropped handlebars, painted twice, 3 times in its life probably, powder coated frame now, and then it's faded and chipped and all the rest of it. It's rattling, it's smoking a bit, be it a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke, but it's running. So, and he enjoys it. So in the real world I say, well, why don't you just take 1 or 2 parts off, bring them in, and we'll brighten it up, because the fear is just enjoy your bike. And that's when I say about restoration, because the biggest thing with restoration is no matter what you want, from a Garelli Tiger Cross to an AP50, a Fizzy used to have, an RD, a X7, if you like it, you do it. Don't worry what everyone else thinks about these bikes. You might have a different view on it 30, 40 years on than the golden days when you used to ride them, but that's what they were, and they put a smile on your face, so all good. So the man who comes in like that, I kind of think to myself, just enjoy it, because once he strips it down, the loom comes off it, he doesn't go through the procedure. I would say we photograph them, which I'll show you in a bit when we're going to the workshop. They can end up in a box and money runs out. And probably if he thinks, you know, light restoration, there's not really a thing, because once you've stripped it down, you're into powder coating, bearings, swinging arm bushes, wheel bearings. Then you look at it and you might go for spoking, and it just goes on, and thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds yourself without even coming in a restoration workshop. So that's kind of the man who comes in and has bits done, which is good. A rideable classic. The little bit of rattling, the little bit of smoking if it's a 4-stroke, a little bit of valve seals, cam chain rattle, clutch rattle on the early 4-strokes. They always had rattles on them. So that's where I'm at with a restoration guy coming in, a customer. So we'll get into the workshop and show you these two bikes. But before that, we'll just go through your next stage of customers. So you've got a customer who, you've got to remember, some people, they may have moved house, they may have not have the facilities now of the garage they used to have, or the lockup they used to have, or they live upstairs in a big block of flats. So there's that kind of customer who's working from, you know, a mate's garage and something. So they're trying to get them back on the road, and the advice, because everyone's in the dark when they talk about vapor blasting and ultra fine polishing, walnutting and all this kind of stuff, ceramic coating and products, exhaust coatings we can do, piston coatings, camshaft coatings for race bikes. So you've got to look at everything. Then you've got the next person who's usually an engineering type background, who's fully equipped workshop, or he's got a fully equipped workshop and he hasn't got time. But he's been there, milling, drilling, boring, done it all, you know, over a lifetime. And they're fantastic customers because you never stop learning off them as well. So that's your other type of guy who's quite competent at putting it together. And you'll go in and I'll have a Mitford lathe, the Bridgeport, a rack of tools, pullers, everything over years. And he's just a steadier weight bloke who can carry on and they'll bring bits in. That's good. Your final bit when someone brings in for restoration is probably someone who hasn't got the time to do it, wanted one at a different level and realises that it needs building up, and it's a bit of a one-to-one. We try and do the conversation probably once a week, once a fortnight, and when we get into the workshop I'll tell you what I mean about that. Because if they're not here, the idea is it's their hobby. And what you've got to remember as a restorer, it doesn't matter if it's back to an NSU moped. If it's in here, the restorer should be as excited when it comes in and more excited than you. Because otherwise, when you walk past it, it's a special bike to him. So that's the bit. It doesn't matter if it's I like my CBX thousands, and mine will be back in here shortly, and I'll sure be showing that off. It doesn't matter if it's an old, even a mobile, anything. If you liked it, it's as precious to you as it is a super bike or an old classic bike. So we'll get into the workshop and I'll tell you the golden rules, what I do, and the way around things I do it. Be a bit different for you at home, but it's still there because excitement clicks in and you want to get it stripped down. And when you start visiting people, they'll start scratching their heads, or we don't do it. Your local bike shop loves them, but they may not have the time to jump on it because they know it's going to be in the workshop for a long time. So let's go and have a look at these two machines. I'll tell you a bit about them. Firstly, the customer says that if we do go further with any of these videos, he's allowed these to be on show, which I always ask, as you see in the video. And I'll tell you the story, how they've come in. Right, so we're going to class it as video 1, and if it rolls on, you'll see it stage 2, and we'll mark it as video 2. We're on Thursday afternoon, 15th of January, and these are the two machines which have landed with us. If you want to have a quick look at them, and then we'll come close up to them soon. So we'll flash across to them. It's a disc brake model, RTL 250S, and a Rothmans 250S as they've come in. So right, so this started with a conversation like it does, except these were in Japan. Customers' machines. He's shipped them over here. We've seen the tracking for it coming in. And as people out there will know, when they start doing bikes up and you've bought them from import companies, yourself, you go and collect your bike, there might be a bit of Nova if it's a road registered machine. We do the Novas next door because we do get a few machines from away, but I don't actually deal direct across the water. And the reason is, the people who do this job are bringing all these bikes in. One, they need to make a few quid out of it because that's why they're in business. And two, they're switched on, and usually they describe them pretty cool. And you've gone down this line where you've bought one off them, or even off me. And then you take it away and you realise it needs a lot doing to it. But no one's hiding that fact, because they do need a lot doing to them. but you might just want to get it as a rideable classic, or you might want to go to the next few steps up. So what I look at now is, if I'm going for some bikes, there's usually a middleman in between all this. So when they've come into the country, all his hard work getting them through the docks, then back to workshop, men in workshop, dummy tanks, you know, they've got rusty tanks, which they describe it, won't fire up properly, but they put a dummy tank, they try and get it coughing, they're doing something, and that's how they're usually described. And take me hat off to them. It's big business for them, but they have to turn the units over to make money, and for all the hassle and what they have to do at the other side, they deserve every penny of it. So what I'm going to say to you is, with these were by the customer who ordered these in Japan. They created them at the other end. We got the telltale signs of the date they were coming in, which was then changed very much up to Christmas. And this is what I'm kind of going to give you some tips on now, is because this is what I think you should be doing when you're going to look at these bikes and they're coming in. You may be going yourself with an hire van, or you may be getting a courier, a known courier, because what happens is he's not only got the insurance, but the tailgate is equipped to carry motorcycles. And what you've got to be in a position is that things can change. Now, if you ask this courier to come on the 1st or the 2nd to the docks, and then they ring you and say, we've changed it, he might get a bit upset with you, and before you know it, you can't use that courier. So there's a few things to take in. The last thing I would say to you is that if it was myself and you were hiring a van and you don't mind the trip down, because like for me, we're many hours away, what I'd suggest to you is you get a Luton tailgate, because when they come off the docks and through the customs, they'll be in a big crate. The guys at one end will help you with some long leg forks, get it into a tailgate, you can get it up, and then when it gets home, at least you can bring it back down again. Hence, if you took it to a courier, they'd get it up the ramps and it's at a low level to your curb. This was a bit different what happened with this. So I'll tell you what happened with this. So the dates got changed. We're getting very close. Christmas Eve now, we got another date, and they'd arrived. We got a phone call mid-afternoon from the port saying, you need to pay this now. Customs and excise and the fee which is due to be paid. It's 3 o'clock Christmas Eve and the office is shut, and I said we'll deal with it first thing Monday morning. So that's the first thing, or otherwise you're going to get storage, because they are not bothered. Millions of products going through that dock. There's no favours, no names, no what is it, unless you're a big player in it and they get to know you. You're literally there, get your slot and you'll be picking up. So nothing against them, that's the job. But Christmas Eve, after they've already jumped us a few days, so we did that, get everything sorted. I said, is it a courier who's dropping it off? Because they ask if you want the price in for a courier, because they'll make a smidge on it. Might only be a smidge, but times thousands of them. And I said, what is it? Is it a motorcycle courier? No, it's a truck. It'll come to curbside, right? So what you've got to also remember, when you say curbside, you could be delivering it to home, you could be delivering it to a workshop. So you've got to be able to be ready, because when these things come in crates, you don't want somebody with some small forks, you want long forks, because you've got to get right underneath. And a hell of a size, these crates. And I'll tell you what happened the next stage then. After waiting for these to come, we were then waiting for a date. So it's gone, the company at the docks, we've agreed that they can get a courier, so they're going to tell somebody that they're ready, and then the courier's going to sort this out and then come to North Yorkshire from Southampton, right? About 5, 6, 7 hours. Right, so if you're still awake, the thing is now then, the reason I'm telling you this, because you'll just say, is it my job to do this? Well, it's a customer who's got it from Japan over the water, and then we take the reins at this end, because we're the name. But if it was you at home, because you might have done this once, you've gone to a supplier and then you think, I'm going to have a go at bringing some bikes in. But what I mean is, it's never just straightforward. So that's paid, so the docks have done the work. I'm in here last week and the snow was like this. The Whitby mowers, if you don't know North Yorkshire, were blocked off. There's vehicles upside down. And a guy comes in with a piece of paper. No phone call. No phone call from the courier. So he slid a big Arctic into here. Everywhere's just about blocked in. No one could move. No way you can get to curbside. So we managed to slide it 60 metres down there. So the man and the company, which hands up to them, have been fantastic. We had a little bit of driveway, but we couldn't get the forks anymore. So remember, if this is at home, curbside, well, it wouldn't have been curbside, it'd have been the next street. The biggest thing is, at this stage, no one's phoned us to tell us that they're coming. So apparently it was sunny in the south, but here we're in blizzards, right? We hadn't used the car for 3 or 4 days off the driveway. So the guy comes, and no offence to the guy, he's got a list of itinerary where he's leaving here. And I said, well, when you come out of our road, you won't be going Whitby Moors. That's it. He had another 3 or 4 drops. So I look in the back of the truck. You can't handball it off. Massive crate. I'll do you some pictures of the crate now on drop down. Okay. And that's us undoing it the following day. We managed to get it off Long Forks into the building 60 metres away, and the director who owns the company said we could leave it in there overnight, and then he kindly offered the next day. 2 of us went in the workshops, red hot. We didn't have to come out in the snow. Dismantle the box. An hour and a half later, got the bikes, pushed them over here, brought the box up. So what I'm saying to you is, if you've gone past that stage of buying the bikes, and you've had bikes off people, imported bikes, there's a little bit more to it. It's just, I would think, I'd say a tailgate, and if someone says they're going to bring it to you in a truck, you're stood at your house or your garage, and you've got no chance of taking it off. And the driver he wants to go. There's nothing against the driver. The company who sent him, no correspondence, which is bad. So that's the story of them getting here before we even get them into the workshop. The one thing I will say, the people who created it in Japan made an absolutely fantastic job. Strapped, inner strapped, plastic, quality of the woodwork and screws and everything else they'd put into it, and it was a treat. So a little bit boring, but it's the start of restoration. You might be going down that line where you're flicking and looking for something. Just watch yourself and watch the hidden import, the taxes and all the rest of it. Make sure you know what you're doing. As for Novas and doing everything, we do them next door. Any of these companies do. A bit of authenticity of the bikes through Honda, a matching frame and engine. It's not a big deal. It's a process which you go through. When you don't let it worry you if you're buying one from someone, Nova, and the people you're buying it off will be so clued up on it, it's simple for you. So we'll get onto the machines and let's tell you what's happening. So this is the standard format of anyone bringing a bike in. So up to now, apart from a few quid to give someone to help me unbox it, and just generally, getting back over here, the hassle, this is the point where we'll be looking at the bike or bikes. Just happens that there's 2 bikes. Right, now one's completely different. One's a disc brake model of an RTL 250S, and one's a straightforward hub model. So what the customer wants us to do is, as we do with anybody, we give you a quick rundown and send it to you. Visuals, frames, suspension, obviously chains, sprockets, tyres are going in, we say in the bin, but I don't mean in the bin, it goes in a bucket, because when you're restoring something to a very high standard, they're going maybe for the customer or yourself to sell at a point to get some money back in. So you go through the stanchions because we know they're going to be re-chromed or changed. The original sizzle finishing, like this one, when we get close up in a minute, it's all banded with the lacquer on. These look like they've been polished. You can see the bike's been powder coated. It's got signs of frame damaged slightly. The looks like the original covering, which has been painted over the meshes. On the clips coming over to the tank claps, these have been alloy. They've been painted. They've left a nice transfer on there, which is the faded RTL 250S. It's got an headlight on it. Looks like it's had a wing mirror, but it won't have had. It's just a new clamp on there. The levers look stable. The twist grips are different. One looks an original Honda. The mud guards are shot. This is an ordinary mud guard with a crack in it, been painted over. Where you can see on this one, it's got the original HRC one on. It's great sometimes to be having bits off one bike to look at the other, but it's a completely different bike. The swinging arm, the chain guard, just bits. Top end's apparently a bit different on this one. So we'll move on to the next bit round the other side. So this is the bit which always gets you. I mean, I like me RS250s. I had an absolutely stunning original one with the pear-shaped tank on and a bracket in the wall many years ago. It was absolutely concourse, and the exhaust was mint. Now both these, as you can see, they've got damage on them, pressed in like they usually are, but the customers managed to get a brand new HRC original Honda one, which, as people out there who restore these will know, that doesn't happen really. So as we come through the bike and we look for more things, you know, from Jubilee clips, we check the oil levels, of course, because what we did is on both bikes, when they came in, we know they've got no fuel in them, but there was minimum oil. It won't have been drained, I don't think. So we just did a top up and put some fresh fluid in them, bled them out on the carb, put some fresh fluid in it and petrol, and took them outside. This one started up eventually. It's got a throttle cable sticking, just ragged in the thing, but when it did, it sounded okay. It sounded sweet. That one over there sounded very good, but more rattly top end. But it could be anything. Tappets, there was a little bit of smoke when we started one up. It might just be the valve seals, you know. But as you go through it, because the engines will have to be stripped down completely. So as we move along this bike, and we look at the rest of things, because remember, a lot of this, when someone wants one to an exceptionalised standard, from what's going to happen with bolts, zinking, the footrest, the brackets, the play, the kickstart wear on it, is it ratcheting out, little bits of foam on there when it comes back, what was original, this piece of cloth under here, you go down it and you can see close up that it's had a different, it's been sanded down, it's had a different shadow across here of a colour across. And you people out there, and there'll be someone sat there now who'll go has restored one of these, and he'll probably be a wealth of knowledge to me, like the people that are our gift on the TLR 200s where we get some parts, not in this country by the way, in the States still, there's still plenty of bits. So if you've got a friend as well, I'd appreciate that, because anything from a nut and bolt when you're at this level. So the customer wants this bike first, that bike at some point, a rideable classic. This one has to be something different. So as I say, we start again, we come back around it and have another look. See the swinging arm, there's got a lug off the other side, there's no chain guard. It's got two different wheels, rims on it, the hubs look right. We've got the HRC colour on the front and we've got a silver one at the back. Obviously they'll be getting changed, re-spoked. Hubs will be getting ceramic coated. And then we come to the fins, a real close-up of the fins. So on this side, we dip down. We're closed. We can't even get anything through there. We've got a corner off completely and we're bent right down. We've got a shim off there, a bit underneath, a bit of dressing to do, right? And that's on the barrel. I'll go around the other side. And here we've got a nice big piece out. We've got another piece out. We've got a close-up. We've got indentations across the top. All need dressing, and it's all on the barrel side of that bit there. As we come up on the head, we've got a piece out the corner of the head, which when that's done and dressed back up, because the top half of it has been dressed and flattened off to show the alloy through the black. And then the main thing on these things as well is up to now till we get the sump guard off, we've got these lovely magnesium HRC casings, right, which first off they look pretty good. When you come to the top, you see the bungs, the covers are all missing. What clamps it used to have on it, anything around visual you're looking for, different nuts and bolts, the sump guard nuts, and the front pipe's punched in. When we come round here, it's got dents, right, then it goes corroded up into this side. So you stand back and you look, it's had a bit of silver paint to tie it up a bit and a piece of gloss off at top of these, but you look at what's going to come off this bike and to the severity of the customer, even the stained seat, you know, the plastic seat which got painted in the blue. You're looking at identification to how they were when they come out. Apparently, again, we've gone through this with the customer, and this is a genuine Rothmans Honda, which is good. It hasn't just been someone planted a tank on it. It's got the frame plates on it as well, which obviously when we strip off, we take the rivets out, polish the plate up, and then the frame, after it's been repaired, it'll go for zinking, top coating, and lacquering in powder. So visual inspection, shock absorber would go away. We take the spring off it with powder coat it now, so it get gassed up. Then we'll be looking at original stickers and all the rest of it. We've got some play on the swinging arm, so we know we're going to go through bushes, wheel bearings, seals, shoes, cables, throttle, HRC tops on these. The fork stanchions, the triple tanks, clamps look quite good. Few bit of mismatching, and you can see where it's had a few clatters where we've got a couple of little paint broke away, which is a telltale sign when it comes off like that, that it's had a bit of wallop on one side. But until we got it down, that's where it'll be. If we come around this side, you can see the part where the chain guard for the swinging arm is missing. You come to this collet here, this plastic, which we'll have to save and see what we can get in these. It's a case of brainstorming to all the people I have out there as well, and then just go through it. So that's what's happened. You know, there's a fin hanging off there that was there, it fell off. So when you look close up at it, the customer's decided that he's going to get the head done, sorry, the barrel and the head done. That's one thing. As you know, I micropin and do all these. Usually it's the last resort for people bringing them to me, because if you can't get hold of one, checking all these straightened out, you'll watch on some of the videos how I do all this. But he's having that sent away to someone he knows who does them, another format of it all. And then in just general, just observation. So the customer's had that now. This is a video just to show you what we're going to do, and let you see what we get up to. So I'll tell you the next bit I do, just the start of it, which I think is really important. Anyone with steel tanks, I used to say leave them till we're well into the build, and then I changed that story when we're doing tank sealers and de-rusting tanks and what we have to do to them, and then they're going for professional paint jobs. We don't paint tanks in the eye of a man, or you'll have a man who paints to an high standard. I'm not on about the run-of-the-mill where you send a tank off and then you send another tank off, and then the purists say that the stickers are too much or they over-lacquering them. We're talking about high-level painters who only deal in petrol tanks, nothing else. They're not car sprayers, nothing against car sprayers, but that's all the pride is. So when they get a bike in, like a special Honda or something like that, they usually know the decals, the Suzuki GTs, the LCs. That's all they do, and that's why it's great. So on fiberglass tanks, this is a cover with just an injection moulded, blown moulded insert tank. Some of them have aluminium on some models. This has got a plastic, so it's a cover. I've had this cover off. It's been patched, it's been painted, it's been patched again. Again, the purist, that's original. With the gauge of it, now it's all been done. If we can check it out, this lovely sticker on here, look, they painted round this at some point. You might just see that there. It's the RTL, the faded kind of logo. Just there, yeah. Right. This is all replicated, no problem. So someone who gets a tank and seeing it, just like, it has to be pretty good, or else you spend the money and have this one professionally done. It depends again the customer, what they want. So the idea now is I go for petrol tanks straight off if they're metal. If they're a fiberglass tank, say it's a combine like a Merlin or something that's all in one, I'd probably look at getting the inside sorted out first and then get it to paint. Because when you're finishing your project, so it's coming to that last few months, then you've got the painter probably 3 months away from even getting to look at it. So metal tanks, to de-rust it especially, because that can spoil your fun on restoration if you're trying to check it. Plus if it's dented, or we do pressure tests on the tank on metal ones to see if they're leaking at all. So we then established the thing that we've got some kind of matching an engine frame number. The reason is, again, through tracing back documentation, is that imagine getting to the point for a purist and it didn't match. To some people it doesn't matter, but when you start spending a lot of money on these machines, and then what I do is I kind of look at it now and think, right, if it was a customer who takes it into your hands and they say, I'll leave it with you, what you can't get, we can't get, and we'll build it up and it's a really smart bike. But when you're going to the point that you're trying to check everything and go through it, I'd start with the engine first, get the engine out and leave the full bike. Usually I'd just strip this. This would be down in 4 hours, all in degreasing, wheels cut, spokes out, hubs ready, new rims to be ready, sourcing everything out, and then we know inside, shocker off, and you'd speed up the process. What we're going to do with this one is, and what I tend to do now is we'll drop this engine once we've got the go-ahead off the customer. We'll get the engine on the bench, we'll be able to see the casings. We'll start to take it down because everything's going to be replaced, including a few of the probably checking the kickstart mechs or anything through it, the shafts for bearing or bearings will be changed, main bearings. Then we'll look at the bore, see if it's on standard, oversized, does it want a rebore? Until we get it down, we don't know. Valve seeds, valves, all the rest of it. And then guides, chain and going on from there. So that's the bit we're at now. So this level is dropping the sump guard off. As I say, if under certain circumstances, this bike would be in bits at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But because we're going to do it this way, because I think what we'll do is we'll get the engine out, we'll price everything up for the engine and the unit. Remember when it's down, we're trying to get this colour in a ceramic, this Honda HRC bronze, which we can replicate. We're looking at all these little bungs, how it was when it was new. When this barrel goes off, the barrel and head will go off once it's been checked. That's if it's good enough, you know. It'll go off. Then when it comes back, we'll be ceramic coating the casings, painting these, the top, polishing the heads or the studs here, the rocker valves, covers, and then we'll have that as a unit sat on a stand with a new gear lever or refurbished gear lever, parts sent for zinking, kickstart mechanism fixed, kickstart, the wear on it, and that's one unit. Then I'll move to the front end probably on this, because it'll be if the customer wants, if we get close to here and have a look at this finish, many will know when these bikes come out, we used to call it the Honda Sizzle. It's a very distinctive sizzle mark down it. So we'll create that in here. What happens is we take them up to a nice shine. Oh, when we get close up as well on this, we've got dings, dents, all in, all have to come out, faced up. They've been polished at one time and gone dull. Everything taken off. So you take them back after the repair, then we'll put a band sander down it. And then we'll put a lacquer, which is usually a pretty between to satin to gloss to light it up as it was, but you'll see the banding through it. The stanchions will go off for chroming or replacement. The billets will come out. The bolts will be checked. Are they rounded? Are they original? And we'll look at this, just the front end. Obviously the bearing will be onto 2 new bearings in the top of the headstock as well. So you'll do it onto your triple clamps ready to be put back together, minus the mudguard hub. But in that you'll incorporate the spring and the 2 bolts. So we'll probably go engine, then front end. We know the back end. When we come to the back end and have to start taking all this down, and the scuffs and that, and the finish, whatever's going off for galving or polishing here in house, is not such an issue. Bushing, bolt heads, and the unit will go off, so that'll go off separately. So that's the start of it. The only thing I would say is that biggest mistake a lot of people make, I used to do it myself, is get yourself a camera, just a cheap camera, because what happens is, and we all do it, we stand there. Now this has been photographed to every single part of this machine. I've done it on my phone, but I do it to a separate card, because we all go back after 6 months and we spend so long looking, whereby doing this, some good close-ups, what's leaking, look, we can see leaking, we can see we can see things. Plus, the way the bolts went in, everything come out, because I guarantee you'll forget, especially the man who just throws it in a bucket and thinks he knows where everything goes. An Ames manual helps you out, but there's no substitute to just taking a bit of time on a separate camera, golden rule. Go round the bike and take as many pictures as you can, you know. So that's my advice on if you want to start looking at restoring stuff and the different things you can do. But that's what I think is going to happen with this machine. It's going to be the engine unit first. I'll show you when we drop it. I'll show you when it's in bits. And the idea of this video is that it may, if it goes to the next stage, remember some bikes don't go to the next stage. We do a report and they turn around and go out. If this goes on, we may run this. So it could run over a year, maybe every fortnight, and just bring this video in as well. So I think what we'll do is we'll leave it at video 1, as usual, based in Scarborough, North Yorkshire, 01723 370 399. And the next stage you see this at, so we'll keep it as RTL restoration. If you want to keep watching this and see how we're getting on and the progress we're making, it'll be great. Thanks for watching. I'll go and get back in my oxygen tent now and take a breath. And till the next one, cheers. See you next time.